Whoa! Hello there. Let me change the camera. This is not a great view. What's up, everybody? Da-da-da-da. Hello. There we go. That's better. Oh, we're getting there. It'll come on. What's going on, everybody? Dan Tom here. There we go. What's up? Sorry I'm late. Clearly running in style here. My name is Dan Tom. Of course, I'm the host of the Protect Your Neck podcast. You might see me at MMAJunkie.com or the Action Network. But on this here program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, well, we break down high-level MMA. That's what we're going to do here today, tonight. Whenever you're listening to this, hopefully it's before the fight. Recording this on our usual Thursday night, running late as usual. And good to see... Dude, I just clicked the link. What's up? Hopefully that's the link you're, to talk. Oh, Super Chat. Look at it in the house. James Kendrick coming strong with the Super Chat. $10. Please go off on the MMA line mover guy with every mention who is racist, also called Ghost a cancer to Whaley's team. Yeah, I saw that. I'm going to bookmark that, James, for sure. But, I'm trying to start these things a little more positive, aside from the lateness, aside from the weird camera angles. And as you saw Fenyo just pop on, he is going to be helping that. Oh, we got Chronic Combat Conversations in the house. One of the good folk in the MMA Gambling Twitter. Oh, you guys know my tangents. I kind of spray the room, but, I'm not spraying the homies in the house. These guys are definitely among them. No better time than Dan Tom time. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Matt Pauly, sad that Hamzat is out as well. Understandable. Yep. Okay, we'll get to the chat. Thank you guys for piling in. I'll get to you, Matt Pauly, in a second, along with the rest of yous. I appreciate you guys pumping up in the chat. Whoa, I have the right. Yeah, you do, Fenyo. You're a moderator. In fact, so I guess you could call Fenyo Enforcer 3, but I don't know. I think 2 Enforcers, like the Bash Brothers with Ghost and Jimmy Kudo in the house, of course, Enforcer number 1. Established like Bash Brothers, like Mighty Ducks, not any other weird, double team stuff. Get your guys' heads out of the gutter. I think Fenyo will be more like, he'll be more like my right hand man because you guys, again, basically, programming announcement. We'll get into the recaps and all that stuff as per usual, guys. Thank you. Hit the likes, hit the shares. So, I know I talk a lot, obviously, but it's not all for nothing. There is reasons for everything, just like my analyses. There's even reason for the random shit, or seems like random shit on Twitter. You guys have seen me do polls, to, my random emoting and wearing my heart on my sleeve like I do too much of, which I'm not going to tell you as to why. When I said a month or so ago, I had some personal news that, really sped up the wheel. I'm not going to share what that was, but essentially it does play into something that, at least you longtime listeners have known, even before this, though it does kind of help explain why, I'm reacting way stronger than I should. We'll page note that note, despite the crazy, unprecedented loss streak. That all aside, okay, fine. Still, acting way more stronger than I should, to myself even, especially I imagine to people on the outside. So all that would make much more sense, being that, again, longtime listeners know, even when things were going well, there always was kind of a ticker, a bit of a pressure, if you will, for me on this program. I obviously, long story short, I gambled on myself in multiple ways, as we all kind of are doing, especially if you're living under the old capitalism there. But, I still try to live and trying to, and I'm grateful to, as best I can, and trying to maintain as best I can this hope of the American dream. Uncle Sam tax-wise doesn't make it easy for independent contractors, which is why I sympathize with the fighters. Not that you need to, just to be, not that you need to share commonalities to, God forbid, be a decent human being. But yeah, there's another reason there too, independent contractor status, yada yada. So I've been essentially gambling on myself with a ticker. And we all live under the world that's not getting cheaper to live in, and all that stuff doesn't make it any easier to, sure. And yes, I do work in a very unstable thing, such as the media space, as you see it getting smaller and smaller, and people, whether they're the, scammers of the world that are trying to, sell you picks and plays, or people that are just really, good content creators that are kind of forced to give you that content, and or just to stay afloat if they were someone like me and they were actually, they actually are working in the space, which I realize that's where a lot of my hate comes from, and that's what I had to be reminded of both why I put too much pressure on myself, because it is an actual job for me, unlike it is for people. I do actually have weighted responsibilities in general in life that a lot of other people may not have, especially these younger kids, on the internet. And they're not all young kids. They're not all douchebags. So again, not trying to paint with a broad brush for the MMA gambling Twitter bros. But sometimes we need to step back and kind of get a perspective on these life things, even if others can't. And to be honest, you have to remember, probably won't, right? And if they do, that's fine. But I got to look out for me here, and there is no show if I don't look out for me. And I don't like whether it's, especially things to do with money, but even like attention, believe it or not. I know, weird. I get on here, I wear my heart on my sleeve, or, as some people say, bitch, to no avail, right? Easily, it seems. But yeah, I actually, I don't really like to put myself out there in that regard. But in order to survive, we kind of have to, whether it's both putting yourself out there, literally working like I'm doing, or trying to hustle, bustle, and make money. And one thing I always said, and I'm going to stick to, is that, like, this show, the podcasts, to my picks and plays are always going to be free. And that is all staying, boom, as is, right? Breakdowns and top fives to a certain extent with the top fives. There might be some bonus ones, hold that thought. Are still always going to be free, so relax there. But I do have to set up something, and I've joked about it before, like a Patreon, maybe going Capoza style, just for people that want to support. Because in my defense as well, even though I'm not claiming, never claimed to, and this is still going to stay true despite having now a pay window for people who do want to support, and I'll get you what that support actually will get you in 1 second. But I was like, I can't just do that, air quote, go Capoza style and be humble, hat in hand Dan here, if I want a chance to keep doing this. And if people really want me to stick around and whatnot, well, it'll be a chance for them to, like I always say, vote with your clicks, vote with your dollars, and money is tight, by the way, folks. So that's why I'm making sure all the things are free, and the only thing I will ask is just shares and stuff like that, because, again, voting with your clicks is free, but it's an important way to vote. But I wanted to set up these options for people to do that, and if I can do that while keeping the lights on here, and instead of maybe, feeling guilty like Dan Tom does, why don't you just embrace it and let it encourage you to do more stuff? Why don't we go that way? So, like I said to start the show, if I'm actually, and I'm going to touch on these things, and the chat's still for you guys. You can toss whatever you want, and there'll be some organic shit to talk as there is and whatnot. But I'm trying not to be that guy. Not that I am, but I don't want that to be this show. Gossip and trash talk. Not that it's unwarranted, but even when it is warranted, to the point that I'm trying to draw with how I've been approaching losses and all the adversities, even if something is warranted, it doesn't mean we should, lean into it. And I've learned that with the recap portion of the show, especially when I'm on this, epic unprecedented losing streak. I mean, again, in my defense, it would be hard for anybody to not taint a show. As, for one, it would be hard for anybody to do a solo show like I do. Say what you will about me, there is a certain skill that comes with the chaos and the craziness, right? But much less if your show was formatted to recap results, and those results, let's just say, are 99.9% negative, right, for X amount of time. That puts a real tin on the show, right? And I'm already kind of a tangent-y person, and half of you seem to like the solo format and the tangents, and the other half of you like me with a co-host. Now, I will say, the half of you who like me solo, I just imagine you're like, crazy, borderline sociopaths or something like myself. No, I'm just kidding. You're definitely weirdos like myself, right? And the rest of you, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, because I'm with you guys, and the rest of you who like me with a co-host, well, you're not wrong either, because basically, if you were to ask me, I like going solo better. Obviously, it's no secret, like part of me definitely embraces, the whole Asian Bill Burr thing I joke about. But if you were to also ask me genuinely what I think of where I do better as, well, I think I do better as a co-host. I think I do better, not to even minimize myself further, but even if I was, and not for this show, but working as someone as a panel guest, right? I think I'm better as that character, if I'm being honest. Does that make sense? There's what I prefer and there's what I think is better. So in that poll, a lot of you guys were split, but those of you who were open to the co-host things, a lot of you guys mentioned my guy Fenyo there in the chat. Any max bets this week? Pepe Silva. Pepe, stay tuned. Actually, we'll get to the betting stuff, and we're turning the units back up, and I'm going to explain why. And, I'm betting 2 units, Pepe, which, for me, it's like 2 units for me is almost like the 10-unit bets I see thrown around from multiple people. So say what you will. Stay tuned, my man. Shout out to Pepe Silva, too. Sylvia, I keep getting that wrong, but he's another savage of MMA betting Twitter who has steadily won me over. So, again, I'm not hating on. I'm definitely not hating on everybody there. But now I'm off track there. But, yeah, my guy Fenyo is going to join the program. So, listen, and I don't want to speak for him, and we are still working things out. Obviously, he still runs the Fight Site podcast feed, doing some of my favorite content, from his clips on Twitter. Follow him at FenyoXSky or the podcast Twitter feed. He does the early prelim podcast where he talks about matchups. He kind of does like everything, but like he doesn't like 25 minutes without the tangents like me. So another reason why I think he'd be a good person to balance me out. But I'm going to bring him on for a recap show. And that recap show you guys are going to get access to. I'm going to be going Substack, by the way, not Patreon, and it's not set up yet. I'm going to have it set up within the next week, and I'll have an official post on it, but this is the first official announcement to you guys here. I haven't set the price yet, but honestly, it's not going to be higher than $5 max. But you guys are going to get access to post-fight shows that are going to be done on Sundays, unless it's like a big pay-per-view, and which I've done here before. You guys know that, and we go live. You guys obviously will have access to that if we record it. We record it like live for the viewers, or if it's like a members, because I'm also going to start up activating memberships for YouTube. But if you sign up to the Substack, we're going to make it so you don't get double charged. So like if I do like a membership for like extra content on YouTube, or like for people that want first dibs and the benefits that come with that, you'll get that for free essentially, because we're gonna look into it, make sure you're not paying double. You support me via Substack, you get access to everything. And that I'll probably do a thing too where like we'll probably, and I haven't talked to Fenyo about this, but I'm thinking maybe like we put like the main card, or at least like the majority of the main card for free, and like if you want to listen to it further, you have to subscribe, so you guys are still getting something, right? Southpaw Report's going to be done the same way, especially with the way threads are and this and that, and hopefully that'll encourage me to get them out sooner. But the Southpaw Report is going to be behind the wall, although on Twitter, to kind of help encourage, kind of, for lack of a better word, bait people in to be aware of the Substack and come support, as well as offering, because it's going to be like you can subscribe for free or you can support. And if you subscribe for free, you're going to get like the first snippet of like the recap with me and Fenyo on Sundays, the first snippet of the Southpaw Report. There is something that's going to be completely free to help because you have to have stuff that's completely free as well there. But I also don't want to overwork myself, because again, this isn't like not only am I not selling picks and stuff, because that's all remaining free. That's never been my prerogative, and you should always look at people with a sketchy eye if they're doing that, because 99.99% of them are sketchy in this space, and I do know the people that aren't, but that's I can use one hand and have remainder, you know what I'm saying? So that's definitely not my thing. It's never have been. My job title's always been analyst. That's always been a silly title, though not as silly as no offense, again, like capper or this or that or this or that. Like, you still got to have self-awareness, which is something completely lacking in that space. That's not my gig. Mine is just if you want to support my work and this and that. But because I can't even ask for donations or support in a free way, which is more than fine, especially the way I'm doing about it and when I went about things, I still feel like I have to offer something. So one thing I'm going to do is something that I've always loved, and because I always bitch about card formats, and I'm going to have weekly, they're going to come out on Fridays, because we have like these last minute shuffles, which is why, in my defense, doing a later show is good, right? We get news dropping that's both relevant to the card and not, and I'll get to you guys in the chat here in a second. But I'm going to be releasing alternative card formats. So it's going to be just like quick blurbs. It's going to be a reformat of each card article with short paragraphs explaining why it's in the spot instead of what the UFC matchmakers chose. And then lastly, but not leastly, as far as the behind the paywall access, it does incorporate let my picks and plays go, even though they will be free and they will still be recorded in all the multiple places that I do, which is more than most, and I account for them in said places and am transparent pre and post more than most already. What I'm going to do, and to even help myself more accountable, is we're going to have a kind of an open thread chat in the Substack for all the users, talking about what bets they like, and you guys can kind of have that chat amongst yourselves. I'll do my best to answer anything possible. Obviously, everybody that subscribes, I'm going to be checking that before my DMs, so you guys are going to be having first priority. But in that thread, whether it's picks or plays, even if I don't have plays, even if it's just a pick I know I'm settled on, I'm just going to have kind of like an editable post that I'll be constantly updating throughout the week. So you guys who are fiending, whether you're analyst nerds who want to talk about certain points about the matchup, or bettors, who want to know, what I'm on before I'm announcing it, kind of a deal. Maybe you don't have the Action app where I'm posting, my bets, or I've been late to it, which, I'm going to be better at. But again, this is going to be giving more incentive, to track those in this way. So that's basically what I'm going to be offering. So it's going to be Southpaw reports, post-fight shows, weekly pick and play access and discourse, even though that's all going to be free anyways at the normal spots as per usual, and as well as, which will be free to just free subscribers, alternative card formats. So again, stay on the lookout for that. That's what it's basically going to be. Feño's obviously going to have the open invite to jump on for whatever breakdown podcasts, and I will also be trying to get more guests with those like I was. It's just been so hard with everything in booking. Maybe I'll just do it for pay-per-view shows. I'll go back to, trying to get more guests as well. So, sorry that was a lot to take in. I'm going to timestamp that as its own thing, but that encapsulates explaining the previous posts, incorporates your guys' feedback into the actual futures as what's going on with my content in this program. Because I'm no stranger to hard work, but if I can't figure something out in this space, which is kind of maybe fine, anybody who gets out of this space, it's like good for you, I think like Ramundi recently got Pat Wyman, back in the day. It's like it's like these guys are smart, man. Go cover something else, But I don't know. This is what I do, man. So. It doesn't seem like it, but it's what I love, and let's see what you guys are saying. Hunter Campbell just being... Oh, yeah, everybody just found out about Hunter Campbell this week, apparently, and, everybody, that's glazing him, oh, my God. Surprise, surprise, everybody glazing the Hunter Campbell thing are usually, MMA gambling Twitter people that are just like, oh, my God, guy disrespects the fighters more than we do? Of course, MMA gambling Twitter is, fucking hard up for this guy. And all the MMA gambling Twitter people are like, oh, I'm in the know of this and that. I'm so smart, and they're just finding out about this shit. I've been telling you guys about this for how long? Even giving you guys behind the scenes how Hunter Campbell operates and examples of that with the commission meetings that I was going to last year. But hey, I'm not sharp. So let's yeah, we'll get to you guys. What's up, Mark Fellows in the house? Good day. So quiet news day in the UFC world. Yeah. Only some guy named Conor McGregor pulled out and whatnot. And enforcer number 2. There we go. That's right. Feño is the third enforcer. That's why my right-hand guy. The Jared Cannonier of sniffing Cunan's rear. Oh, I like that one. That's a good one, Rain Lamb. And I love that you bring these back secretly. I know that's a Jack Slack podcast thing, but I appreciate you guys giving me that honor. And shout out to Jack Slack, another real one. Jin Karasu. Hello, Dan. Hello. Rio says in Truesdale in the house, don't worry about the showdown. You're taking care of yourselves. More important, just grateful for the conversations that we get to have. I just said a cringy pun, but please don't ban me, Feño. Great choice. Feño Sky is your right-hand man. Yeah, I'm sure you guys will dig that, man. And again, it'll be great balance for the recap shows and whatnot. And hopefully, we can keep much more positive energy and whatnot as I... try and let go of the results and just keep trying to do the work in different ways and constantly adjusting. That's what you do in life. That's what you have to do, even in the gambling Twitter world, which we'll maybe talk about. But we had some good calls despite a losing night, which we'll recap here. I want to get to the recap, and then we'll get to you guys here in the chat. How about that? Sound good? All right, let me timestamp this. We'll push this baby forward. That was 1950. Yeah, let's push this baby forward real quick. All right, UFC Louisville recap. Again, this might be the last show with these, so bear with me. If you're listening in the future, check the timestamps. You can always bust through. That's why I put them there. Yeah, we went 8-6 overall. Although I have parentheses, we could have arguably went 10-4. 1-0. Danny's parlay. Oh my God, Donnie's parlay. That son of a bitch. Yeah, I was gonna get a message from Donnie. Actually, I've been so busy, guys. I was gonna get a message from Donnie, for you guys, but I've been busy, and who knows what the fuck Donnie's doing, to be honest. But he basically was saying that we only lost because we didn't do his what is it here? I got it written down here. We didn't do the VIP value plays. VIP customers who were signed up to my program actually went up 17 units off of multiple 10-unit. I'm not going to let you slang your fucking stupid fucking thing, Donnie. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, of course. I mean, it's classic Donnie. I mean, Donnie was the embodiment of MMA gambling Twitter, which is funny. People had a problem with like what Donnie was saying. Like, Donnie actually like had my facts to support him about saying something later, and that like saying a fighter was a. I don't even think he was really even saying a fighter was chinny, but like people got so triggered by that, which was hilarious. They kind of only proved the point Donnie was making as far as like MMA gambling Twitter, people throwing it out like nothing. And then as soon as he whether it was people in the comments of this program on the YouTube, which was pinned, you can go back and look, or gambling sharps on Twitter, it was hilarious. People were like really triggered about it. Like, no, like. And the funny, and we'll get to that, but yeah, let's go. We'll get to that. But the funny thing is, I wasn't even trying to diss on Jacoby either. I actually like Jacoby a lot in his team, and would not be a fighter I personally would call chinny. But everybody reacting to that certainly proved the point home, and the analysis was proved right on that one. However, it was a losing night as we went 2-1 in straight plays, not bad. 0-1 in live bets. We'll get to that. 0-6 in. This was our second live bet officially that I've ever done, and we're 0-2 in that, of course. But this one I feel, even though it's a losing one, I feel a little better about it, I guess. We'll get to that, I guess. 0-6 in props. 0-5 in the round flyers. 1-5 for the round robin again, which we could have got a kind of a close one, which we'll get to. But again, it's hard not to justify these round robins as well, because it's like, I know they're not paying themselves off in the year of 2024, but literally 90% of the weeks, not only are we going 1 for 4 or 1 for 5, and not the crying every MMA gambling Twitter style, but like legitimately it's either close, which is fine, and it doesn't count, I guess, but for what it's worth, it's like it was close. The analysis was right, and then there are which feels like this is high. It sounds like this is high. It feels like legit 20 to 30% of them like should have fucking cashed. You should have paid me on that one. So we'll talk about that. And Nasruddin Imavov defeated Jared Cannonier. Man, again, like, for someone who's like negative, like I actually, I'm actually sitting out here, and I guess defending, even though people are, you're defending that. Like, listen, I fucking probably lost more money than you, buddy, on this one. Like, and I definitely stood to gain more than a lot the way I had this lined up, right? But like, at the same, I mean, maybe not. I'm not out here, fucking throwing 10 units on a fight. That's like a pick'em. But oh my God, like death taxes and MMA gambling Twitter getting bailed out by something that, again, even like the slightest infringement they call robbery. And week after week, even just today, I think it happened with Liz Carmouche, like, right? Like, whether it's like a last minute Hail Mary down on the cards, or down on the cards, in this case, the ref bails you out. There is no hint of like, oh, I got lucky. Like, again, like MMA gambling Twitter challenge, win with class. Like, oh my God, like 99.99 would fail. And that's a generous offer. That's a generous saying, right? Or MMA gambling Twitter challenge, actually acknowledge being grateful or and acknowledge that luck is involved in the equation. No, you never see it. And like, maybe you might see like a joking never in doubt on like the second or third layer going into their comments. but never, especially if it's people who like sell picks and stuff and whatnot. It's like, oh my God. So of course I'm sure those people were like, all sharp and the wrong lessons were clearly learned because, you're seeing people put like, 10 units on the lesser proven side of a chalk fight that was lying close for a reason and was playing off as so. In fact, you could argue it could have been maybe not a little closer because it was pretty much pick'em, but Cannonier was up on 2 of the 3 cards. And even though I feel like 10-8 should be given out much more, let's be honest. Even if it was a deserved 10-8, which it wasn't quite, and the round wasn't over, and Cannonier could have still fought back, which, by the way, Cannonier, both in victory and defeat, has not only survived and those moments, doesn't show to be tired, doesn't show to be hurt, comes back, and whether it's Marvin Vettori or losing to one of the best middleweights ever, Robert Whittaker, is rocking them in the final rounds, by the way. So even though I'm going to keep that same energy, which is, and say something that, again, MMA Gambling Twitter would never do, and do the thing, well, you never know what could happen, so I'm not going to say that it was a sure thing, right? It's like one of those things that's like we can't say, because you can't say Cannonier was going to survive, you can't say, just as much as you can't say Cannonier was going to come back and win, right? But at the same time, did any of the winners out there keep that same energy? No, they're doing the Donnie fucking Clifton, I'm the shit, bro. Look at me, I'm the shit, I paid off, being an asshole, and all my air quote hard work paid off, it's all that bullshit. It's like, yeah, you were in there, bro. But like, it's that thing. But despite the run I'm on, and this and that, for people saying, oh, you're being too negative, you dwell on it. It's like, do I really? Like, I post on fight night, and then I'm done with it. I move on with my week, like, consistently. You don't even like victory lap stuff, because I'm not a victory lap guy. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just not my style. Like, not even that you see me on the next day. And then for 2, even on these like worst nights where people are calling me negative, I'm like consistently either in other people's comments congratulating them, and or retweeting and like quote tweeting, like, look what this guy hit, like a couple weeks back, like giving props to that random dude. And doing stuff like that. Or in this case, where I'm, once again, folks, for those of you keeping track at home, I still only need one hand to count, and I have fingers left over for name a controversial call, a stoppage, a decision, whatever you want, going back to 2021. Put it in the chat. I'll tell you what side I was on, and disproportionately, I've been on the wrong side. So it's not just being woe is me or this or that. Like, it's legitimate. And again, controversy of the card. Where does Dan Tom end up at, right? And instead of dwelling on that, what do? I actually, God forbid, defended. And again, whether you want to defend or bad opinion, for what it's worth, I actually back it up with actual facts and logic and examples. Crazy, I know. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Jason Herzog, admittedly, but this is what I would have said either way. I'm still not saying it's a good stoppage. I'm still upset at it, But at the same time, even though Cannonier has proven he can come back and looked like he was on his way to coming back by the time the fight was stopped, he was turning his back prior, and that's always triggering language to a referee, to where even if they're able to control themselves on the initial run-in, which you see Jason Herzog do when Cannonier first turns his back, it already took them from a 7 to 8 out of 10 to like that 9.5 to 9.9, where they were like, just because they didn't act on it and they were able to save themselves. Like, you see Herb Dean Herb Dean will usually like touch the fighters before he does it, and then he'll go, whoa, 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 right? Like, even if they're able to escape the initial reaction, they're arguably still already triggered and well primed to stop the fight at that point, which is why it's just bad body language, and there was a fight earlier where they were like, oh, this guy's practically running away. I forget, it was like a tall guy. He was rocked for a second, but if you looked at it, he was smart, and he was backpedaling the whole time, right? Because that's gonna have a lesser chance of the ref stopping the fight. Not that the ref can't, right? So yeah, instead of like crying and complaining about it, I'm actually was actually defending it, which was crazy. But yes, of course, the people like me who could use the win and continue to get the losses are having to be the ones out there showing class, and trying to actually like buck the trend and stereotype that you guys all get for MMA Gambling Twitter folk, for being sore winners and losers, and you wonder why. you'll wonder why. And yet the people who win are just fucking classless, and you guys wonder why you get that stereotype. I'm trying my best, not just for myself, but, to help buck the trend and shit, especially since I take a lot of the same shellings just because I gamble on fights alone. But there is that fight. And then, of course, this one, the analysis did pay off, which was nice. Oh, by the way, the live bet was Cannonier. And like I said on this show, you look to bet him after the first round. And also, it was respect for Imavov because, again, I wasn't pretending like, I'm not like out here doing these like 10-unit bets and stuff, like acting like it's a sure shot. Like, no, Imavov's actually made legitimate improvements, and those needed to be respected. And 99 to maybe even 100% of the time Cannonier's been stopped, it's been in round one. So you wait till after round one, even if it cost you a price. It looked like it did, but then, perception and Cannonier, the fight, it did seem to kind of start getting away from him, right? I didn't go back and rewatch it, so I can't give you a big technical breakdown, trying to brush through this anyways, even though I'm not really brushing through this. You know what I'm saying. But the fact was, I saw a plus 137 price tag, and I fired on that, I believe, for a unit. And again, nothing crazy. I'm not like 3 units, 4 units, just throwing away units like crazy, like you see. I'm not trying to throw shade, but like let's be honest, like you see most MMA gambler, MMA, big MMA gamblers out there, and bless them, especially, not trying to hate. I have a lot of friends with that style as well. I root for you guys, especially you guys putting out the free shows and stuff like I am, who understand that grind. You guys know who you are. But at the same time, it's like, you have to be respectful of the other side, like you always do, especially in a fight this closely lined. So we kind of got the conditions we wanted. And to be honest, I was actually hoping for Cannonier to get rocked, as crazy as that sounds, because I know he comes back so well, and I knew that would have given us a good line as long as he survived and got out of that round, right? So even the fact that it happened in the first place wasn't crazy. And you go into you go into round 5 2-2 arguably, because again, even if it did get to a legit 10-8, the way 10-8s were being given that night, and generally judges being hesitant, you probably only get 1 out of 3 refs given the 10-8 when it should be a 10-8. That's sadly the average as is. So it wasn't, again, I don't think it was a bad bet. We showed our work. We lined it up ahead of time. It played out in a lot of ways like we expected to early, hence giving us that line an opportunity we cited early. It just was what it was. It would have, if that would have hit, this fight determined our night as well. Another reason why I should have been saltier about it. But that's how it goes for, people who, God forbid, try to be responsible and respectful about it. And that's just the game, man. It's a volatile game. Doesn't care about any of that stuff. Which doesn't mean, I guess, justify being like, I guess that justifies being an asshole for some people. I don't know. I'm like, okay, cool. Congratulations on your units. You can still be an asshole. Speaking of which, Dominic Reyes defeated Justin Jacoby. This is one where the analysis paid off, and it was just hilarious. Whether it was, and I'm not even trying to pile on, because again, I'm not even a victory lap guy. Even when it's deserved, even when, God forbid, if anybody could use a W, it's your boy here, right? Like, I'm not even trying to, like, take too big of victory laps on the dude. Like, I was going to be like, you still there, pussy? John Jones, but I just did the you still there? And the comments, because, like, someone was coming at me like, who's this guy saying that Jacoby is chinny for what Donnie was saying on the podcast, right? With my facts backing him. And it's like, it wasn't even saying chinny. I was just saying that everyone, of course, the lazy, obvious narrative is that Dominic Reyes is chinny, right? Which is funny because, like, when everyone was like thinking I was just trash talking Ariel or something, like, which actually he'd probably be on the bottom of the list of the people I was referencing for whatever it's worth, because it's media, influencers, and gamblers. But it's this thing, because you see it every week in all these different variations. It's just the McGregor and Ariel stories, or Ariel covering the McGregor thing was off top people's minds. But like the whole self-stroking, I know something you don't know, and like I was listening to a podcast, and like some other like MMA gambling Twitter dude was just like was doing that, but instead of like the breaking news bullshit or whatever, it was just like this person actually shared what they knew, but what they knew was like, it wasn't like what was in the briefcase for Pulp Fiction. It was that, sit down, guys, Dominic Reyes is chinny, right? So to my point, like, that was going to be the obvious, maybe not obvious, but that was going to be the obvious narrative. So, all Donnie was basically saying was that for anybody saying that, it's like, okay, how much more, air quotes, chinny is he than Justin Jacoby, especially when factoring in, that Reyes has more of the power of the equation, and Jacoby, at least not traditionally, doesn't have that one-shot power to exploit said chinniness, right? And then you add in the actual analysis, forensic and otherwise, with the Southpaw report that really just played out. It's been something that I've been calling for, because I've been big on Jacoby, guys. Remember, I've been big on Jacoby, but again, MMA Gambling Twitter, they don't, they're always quick to like give you, like, you guys got to adjust and you got to watch your unit sizes, and you watch these same people. And I was just telling somebody, like, the MMA Gambling Twitter is way too quick to call somebody a good gambler, and it's usually just because they go off of like a good run. And it's like, okay, maybe they're on the top of the standings now. It's like, how long can they stay there? And B, this game is so volatile, as we've seen from, forget me and my crazy streak. But you can actually see it with some winners, like betting like 10 units, whether it's on low-level prelim WMMA fights or like chalk pick'ems where you're getting bailed out by the ref when you are betting more proven products, you're still betting the less proven product. And, and even like this is what we're calling sharp. Like, that's pretty that's irresponsible betting, because most people don't understand unit sizes, and even though everybody has a different unit size and it's just an arbitrary form of measurement, 10, no matter what your unit size is dangerous from a bankroll perspective if we're talking about basic percentages of bankroll protection. Add on that, if these people are also people who are charging for picks, like, that's what you want somebody just throwing that. And yeah, man, like I don't want to mention names because, like, not that I'm afraid to, but like what I notice, and part of the reason why I was criticizing myself, and this still falls into play of it, because again, I have to be able to learn from these things too, is that I get drug into like these kind of like nobody Twitter wars with these nobodies who, and I let it like bother me just because I'm air quote right or they're air quote wrong or whatever your justification or my justification is, right? And you get to a certain point, you realize like, oh, that's nonsense. It's as bad as I'm doing, Dan. As bad as much as I talk of myself, and as much shit as they talk, and are made to feel justified that they can talk about me. You know what the saddest part of all that is? Is that these people are ultimately still jealous. That, again, who's actually working in this space, right? And I still joke and say I take the piss out of my job title. It's a made up title. But again, who at the end of the day, who's actually working in the space? Who's out to hit 400 episodes of a podcast solo? It's really rare. You don't really have that. Much less in this space. And shouts to the people who've been having podcasts as longer, with it's Co-Main Event, Junkie Radio. As far as gambling podcasts go, shout out to my guy Dan Levy. You want to talk about winning and losing with class, like win like you've been there before. That term, that's Dan Levy right there, man. Let's give him some credit where credit's due. Whether that guy wins or loses, it's one tweet and he's done. Boom, he moves on. And I've got so much respect for that. And so I'm not like some OG, but I've been doing it much longer than these motherfuckers, right? This next year, I've been doing unofficially for a decade now, but this next year is going to make an official decade of being around in this. And yeah. And so it's kind of, so I don't want to get too entangled in these nonsense battles, especially once you realize that a lot of these people thrive on like having their name said. So if I'm going to keep that, I want to keep that same energy I keep with like the Logan and the Jake Pauls, and not really say their names too much. Because that just feeds the engagement, right? And if they want to talk crap on me, it's fine. What's going to change? They're not going to like me anyways. If my unit count was reversed, these people would hate me more. Not only would they still not like me, and just like you guys could take this lesson in your lives, even if whatever someone's complaining about you, even if you change it, not only are those people still not going to like you, they're probably going to dislike you more. So fuck them. Fuck them. Letting go of the results, focusing on ourselves and all the good things that we've done and continue to do. And hopefully can get back on track, man. But, when the analysis does line up, like in the Jacoby and Reyes, is, again, something I've been shouting forever, back to the adjusting, being a Jacoby fan, knowing when to get off the train for certain matchups because of something that I not just cited with him, but a trend in general, right? With anyone with that marching kind of style against southpaws who can counter, boom, that's a big no-no, right? Even though I picked Charles Oliveira over Dustin Poirier, I said, look out for that. Sure enough, round one, check hook from Dustin Poirier knocks Chucky Olives, not Charlie Olives, folks. Chucky Olives. Shout out to the MMA Analysis Podcast. Credit where credit's due here. Knocks him right on his ass, right? Like, this is analysis that's actually, again, if you're smart and sharp, you're going to pay attention to these trends. You're going to learn from them. You're going to take those in and whatnot. And if anybody leaned into the Southpaw Report, they did very well for what that's worth. So that was sweet. But yeah, just seeing people, and especially like I saw a dude who, by the way, the dude I'm referencing actually seems like a much smarter dude than people give credit for. Like, a lot of people talk shit on that dude. He seems like a much smarter dude than people give credit for. So I was kind of extra perplexed. I'm like, bro, looks like you're running a service over there. Maybe you should, take fucking notes. I mean, I know I'm a losing gambler, but I'm I provide good analysis here. That's always been my thing, folks. Never claimed to be anything else. Raul Rosas Jr. defeated Ricky Turcios. RNC. Yeah, I knew this one wasn't going to cash as far as the KO flyer. As soon as just Rosas Jr. went out there, I wasn't actually too impressed with his performance because, I didn't like his defense on Turcios, and I didn't like how tunnel vision he is, I know he's still young, still plenty of time to develop, but I still don't like how tunnel vision he's getting going. And the way, and the way, whether it was on the Twitter timeline or the few podcasts that I did listen to, I didn't hear anybody even mention the KO as an option. And I just felt like it was disproportionately priced considering Turcios, is typically hard to submit. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt outranks Rosas, which helps maintain his perfect submission defense record up until that night anyways. To see, close to 9 to 10 to 1 in some places for the KO prop, it just kind of felt off, So I felt like it was a perfect storm for that, but no. It was not meant to be, which is fine. It was a small little flyer. Bruno Feda defeated Dustin Stoltzfus. I'll be honest, man. I didn't like Donnie's confidence in that parlay. I thought Stoltzfus was much liver. If it was me, I probably wouldn't have parlayed, and we would have lost by more, right? So I guess the MMA Gambling Twitter Donnie energy is good for something, right? Speaking of MMA Gambling Twitter, and oh my god, I honestly undeserved things cashing because I'm becoming more of a fan of this guy the more I listen to his story, which is Zachary Reese defeated Julian Marquez. Of course, I'm a fan of Marquez, so there's some bias there. But even without that bias or anything, this was another one where, again, you didn't even have to like Julian Marquez. You didn't have to pick Julian Marquez. You could have been playing Reese. You could have checked the opposite 3 boxes, and you still, out of principle, should agree with me here. In fact, should be more mad. In fact, should be more mad since your side won. You guys should have got a better price. That was a stupid price. The opening, the inflation, the movement, all stupid, all undeserved, and of course it cashed. And I was talking with a friend who she gambles, and she's actually a really sharp and smart gal. But she is just getting into as far as the MMA gambling goes, and she's really into sports and all that stuff. But she'll kind of pick my brain on some things. And I always respect her because she doesn't want to know my picks and stuff until we have our processes, right? But there's these weird fights. I can't think of the other one, but it was kind of a similar theme where we disagree on, and I'll kind of almost get frustrated where I'm I have to do my thing where I go, the frustration you're sensing in this answer is not toward you. You just have to understand that I see this all the time. And this is going to be one of those classic ones where I'm this person, I just go through all the check boxes of why this person's unproven, this line makes no sense, why this other person should win, the styles, the experience, da-da-da-da-da. And then as I'm doing it, I actually joke to this person. I go, oh my God, I already know it. Watch, because I said this, Zach Reese is going to win now. Watch. Sure enough. And it was just that classic, this, the Super Bowl party, the person doesn't know anything about football and they're hitting everything. And you're somebody who's followed every season. Everything's lining up to have the perfect season capper for your team to win and for you to cash some bets. And you just watch everything slip through. All this person just oh my God, I just did this on the board. I cashed everything. This is easy. I feel like I'm that guy every Saturday, essentially. That has been the Dan Tom experience. So yeah, that was beautiful because we learned absolutely nothing about Zach Reese. And by the way, there are people who aren't people that I would trash as the MMA gambling Twitter crowd who bet Zach Reese. Shout out to my guy Billy Ward, and he doesn't act like that. So I'm not trying to everybody bet Zach Reese is fucking chill. No. And by the way, Billy Ward actually not only is he right for Action Network, he actually again. reason why big respect and Billy's my friend in my circle, so to speak, is because yeah, he's also a guy, and he actually did it at a pro level, by the way. Dude actually fought. And whatnot. And he even was saying, he's like, I'm just, firing on dogs and yada yada. And that's fine. That's all fine. Like, good on you guys if you cash. I'm just saying, you should have got a better number on a Reese, and that is one of my least favorite ways to lose, because it's just like the typical unproven contender series guy. Just comes out, we learn nothing, and it's the hype. And like, Marquez been through so much, and just, oh man, that's heartbreaking. Puna Soriano defeated Miguel Baeza. This is the one that woulda, shoulda, coulda. Like, if this cashes, this is so Cannonier can get us into the win night, and he can get us anywhere from 2 to 7 units, depending, because we had round flyers as well, right? So as far as that swing, that's a 2 to 7 unit swing with Cannonier, with the win hinging. This one is an also win hinging one if we get a stop, right? Which anybody's saying, like, oh, concussions, we should see more standing stops. Like, motherfuckers, I've been on the standing stoppage argument the whole time. You motherfuckers, except they only come out to fuck me out of bets, and then you guys only come out on those times to be like, oh, well, this is a valid point now that I'm on the right side of it conveniently. It's like, no, because if you were cared about concussions, Miguel Baeza should have been stopped, which is why the doctor was coming in, because no one was stopping it. But again, it's not really up to the doctor. They can only give an opinion, and they're not trying to, get death threats like the Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, a doctor, did. Probably, I bet you most of those death threats were probably from MMA gambling Twitter. So you guys wonder, and then, yeah, nobody, it feeds the cyclical cycle, and no one wants to stop the fucking fight. And that were to cash, that would have been a $700 swing, so that would have been a 7-unit swing alone. Got us in the win column. And so again, it's like, and it was even less. I think it was like 6.5 units risk. I didn't even risk like a ton of units. Like, again, you got motherfuckers, sharp motherfuckers out here like betting 10 units on single fights and shit. Like, it's ridiculous. So, and I also did the math too, and I don't think I would have won. But it would have been like one of those classic Dan Tom losses where I come like within like 0.17 or 0.20 units of a loss, if I were betting my normal unit bets. So being conservative hurt me, which was another annoying thing, because it made me realize, I'm like, oh yeah, again, not only is it like contradictory, don't get gaslit by, well-meaning opinions by good people, smart people, but at the same time, they're opinions that, A, these people aren't following themselves with bankroll management that I keep giving the examples of. And B, so it's like when I go to be more conservative, I actually end up hurting myself, because I'm like, to my credit, my coverage is actually pretty good. Like, you can actually reconstruct things, and people that talk shit about me or may have talked, or that I may have talked shit about prior, may have something to say about that or this or that, but they're well-respected people who are either leading winners, work for leading winners, or do shows with said people talking shit on me, who have actually gone through personally and audited all my bets to come through with the same opinion I did, except they don't have the bias of it, right? It's behind closed doors for what that's worth. But yeah, so that was really annoying. And then Ludovic Klein on the Southpaw Report, that went really well. Of course, again, Thiago Moises against Southpaw, this isn't something that I called for this fight too. This is long-standing analysis that I've been shouting from the rooftops forever, referencing stuff from the LFA, Robert Watley Jr., for Christ's sakes. I mean, like, who else is doing that shit out here? And surprise, surprise, Thiago Moises, who his only win against the Southpaw, he was getting pieced up in. It was a Hail Mary sub against Michael Johnson. So the guy pretty much is winless against Southpaws. So I was glad to eat up that chalk on Ludovic Klein. Thank you very much. Carlos Prentice defeated Charlie Radke. That was a sweet knee. Brad Katona defeated Jesse Butler. Montana De La Rosa defeated Andrea Lee. So that was my doing. I didn't like that play that Donnie did, even though like I like De La Rosa more than Lee. I just felt like Lee's output, and they both produce bad optics, but De La Rosa's bloody nose would probably produce worse. So I switched that at the 11th hour. That's also why Donnie was mad at me, because I affected his pick percentage. So sorry about that, folks. Daniel Marcos defeated John Castaneda. Glad I stayed away from that one. That was just like a close one. I don't know if it was close played out, but I mean, like, on paper, it was close. Denise Gomez defeated Eduardo Mora. I picked that dog but didn't play it, and I don't have FOMO in that case. Like, congrats to my friends who cashed on that, but again, these lower level WMMA fights, no thank you. I am proud of myself. Again, I stayed away from the bias and just taking plus money for value, which you could fairly accuse me of, right? I didn't play Cody Stamann despite picking him, although I did have him in a round robin because I needed a leg. But Taylor Lapillus beat him pretty cleanly. Wasn't the greatest performance from Stamann, just speaking honestly. Fugitt-Quinlan defeated Rayon dos Santos. Sounds like that should have went the other way. But again, folks, another thing I've been calling, because again, I actually, instead of calling robbery like MMA gambling Twitter, like not only do I practice the things I've fought, I actually go and get judging and ref certifications and take these courses and stuff. So, yeah. So I kind of know what I'm talking about in my defense. Yeah. And again, dating back for about a year now, I've been correctly calling the events to bet split decisions on. So again, my betting record may suck, and that's fine. I never claimed to be a good bettor, but my analysis continues to translate in multiple ways. Whether it's commission stuff on what to bet the split decision, or hey, these shady guys like Hunter Campbell, you should see their reach and what they even do to commissions and what kind of talkers they are. Whatever. But yeah, it's hey, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I should be like, I know something you don't know, and then start like glazing over, like jerking off over Hunter Campbell fucking over fighters. That's the most hilarious thing. Like, props to the people doing memes and trying to be funny about it. I get that part, but like everybody seems like they're just glazing over, like, oh, well, this guy's the new team. Like, dude, that talk's been going on forever. Even before me, like over a year ago, a year before that, you had Tommy Toehold releasing a video. Shout out to Tommy Toehold about Hunter. Like, this isn't new news. But it's the motherfuckers, whether it's the fake journals or gambling Twitter people, they're usually the two worst of it, ironically enough. And I get why the journalists are, at least. They're trying to at least, like, up their value. But, like, they're just, oh, I know so much. I'm so sharp. And then, like, they're fucking just finding out about the Hunter Campbells. Like, okay. All right, okay. Anyways, all right, way too long. Let's go to this fucking fight. 51-58. 51-50. Actually, I'll clean up the chat, and then we'll go to the fight. First, I want to get to that super chat. Back to my guy. You guys can hit the super chats. Obviously, that will, especially like this week, I'm usually really good, and that's one thing. It's not just for like this salesman-y selfishly, like honestly for the show. And as we try to grow it, it's going to be harder to get to everybody. So this does help, but it's not required. You guys who are OGs like James should know that I'll try to get to you guys regardless. But James says, please go off on that MMA line mover guy that I mention every week who is racist and also called Ghost of Cancer with Whaley's team. Yeah, there was like racist. Again, like, I don't know this guy. I'm not even familiar with this guy, by the way. But like, yeah, I saw some clips. Is he the same guy as the Jewish better guy? I don't know. But someone was like sharing clips of like him saying like racist stuff about like saying like, like doing the typical like ching chong stuff or whatever about like Chinese fighters. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, is this all MMA gambling Twitter? Even the guy I was mentioning before, like, the A+ analysis of somebody who charged you for picks. Like, I forget what fight it was. It was a guy from Inner Mongolia too, by the way. It wasn't even Chinese, but he was like, he's like, he's fucking Chinaman. He's Chinaman. And he like actually said it more like the more dramatic version, actually. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, racism, I guess, is analysis. Sure. Jesus fucking Christ, people pay for that? Holy shit. So yeah, I only wonder why they don't like me. Yeah, so it's that shit's real common, man. Like, I bought fucking peanut butter for my dog the other day. And on the front's got an American flag on it, and it says Made in America. But then it says, like, in parentheses, with products sourced from around the world. And I'm like, how desperate are you to say the Made in America thing? That, like, you can't, like, take credit for the things around the world. It's like the people that buy the Toyota trucks, they, like, plaster American flags all over. Like, bro, you're driving a Japanese truck. I don't know how to break it to you. You're driving a Japanese truck, bro. But to make it worse, you turn the peanut butter thing over, and it says, no products from China. I'm like, God, gee, we get the fucking point. Who are we signaling to? Like, people who are, like, and I go to this, like, super, like, conscientious, like, hippie, like, dog store and stuff. So it's like, what kind of special crowd is this? Like, we're liberal enough to be conscious enough about our animal health care and welfare, but fuck the Chinese! It's hilarious, but yeah, there's just a lot of that out there. It's like, it's not me just like dwelling on the same thing, folks. Like, these people are literally saying it themselves repeatedly in the same crowds. I can't help. Forgive me for stereotyping. Purple Burp, what's up? I love seeing new people in the house, and I love the Avi Purple Burp. Hopefully you smoke the perp. Whoa, the wrench. I can ban people? Yeah, you can, Fanyo. You can fucking... I gave you some permissions on here, sir. If you check. You've got some permissions, sir. You've got the power! Purple Burb. Aliskerov being moved to fight Whitaker is sad. Seemed like an easy pick against whoever he was fighting. It was. I only had the over in that, which, we don't have anymore. We'll get to that fight here in a second. Fantastic. Recap shows with Fanyo are going to be awesome, says Ghost Phantom. No need for a live chat for that. Oh, I appreciate you guys. And again, if you are part of the Substack, like, and want to submit questions ahead of time that you guys are now going to have, like, as the show's going on, like, ooh, I want to make sure I get that in. We'll make it so that way you guys can A, still to participate, and we can still have listener questions, and B, God forbid you guys are getting even more bang for your buck that way. So I feel maybe less bad about having a price point somewhere. So that'll be the trade-off. Hopefully you guys feel that's fair. Synchro Wing, Hunter Campbell just being incompetent evil while getting praised by everyone outside of P1A. Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, I mean, I'm trying to be, I'm actually trying to be positive whether you believe it or not. And but this is what the Be Positive crowd cheers on, is like this negative bullshit. I know better than to glaze the UFC lawyer BS. Smart. That's why I love the PYN crowd. Barton Spackle, Chris, love this name. Hello, I'm a little new here. Love your breakdowns and realist personality. I'm not well versed in MMA, but shows like yourself really help. Oh, I appreciate that. I figured, I'm not for a lot of people. Maybe might show somebody just getting into the sport, but if I'm connecting there, that's good feedback to know. And hopefully you like my feedback of your name. VIP CLV boys. Yeah, that's right. Donnie Clifton. Yeah. Don. Yeah, I'm upset. I really was going to reach out and get a voicemail to record for you guys for Donnie so he could, speak to the people here, but maybe it's better we don't. James Kendrick, let's all give a shout to the guy that said Jacoby wasn't Chenny. Oh, yeah, we covered that. Anthony Tony C loves some Donnie. Donnie in the house. That's right. We'll get some more Donnie cameos up in here. And what we will do to tribute to Donnie is if we ever have a parlay, because I hate parlays, by default, what do you guys say? You guys can vote on this. You guys have say. What do you say we honor it for Donnie, all right? The Donnie Clifton Parlay Special, all right? Come up with a better name, but we'll settle on something by the end of the show here. A couple more, and we'll get to the breakdown, which is way overdue. This is going to be the last long show like this, folks. Again, part of this changeover is going to make it great for this show. It's going to be right to business like the way you guys like. Clifton for the win. Crazy when Cannonier also came back with a ferocity like a rabid dog in that Whitaker fight. Yep, heard him with a check right hook. Torres versus Dern, Robbie of the year every year. Oh, every year. And 24 years been the Eel Gross Soggy Dick Specials. No, not for me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been hit and miss with those, Pepe, and whatnot. Hopefully you've had better luck than me. I'm rooting for you, Pepe, for what it's worth, buddy. All right, Synchro Wing. When would it be okay to not respect a fighter in terms of picking them? I don't know, man. I mean, Greg Hardy. Breaking news: Linton Vassell from Milton Keys with the Concrete Cows just won. Oh, nice, Linton Vassell. You know me, and I'm like Jack Slack as far as being a fan of the vacillation. Speaking of vacillation, shout out to the good MMA guru Greg over on with TV over there on Chronic Combat Conversations. I'm gonna get one more out in here, and we'll get to it. Dan, you should call out names instead of lumping everyone as MMA Gambling, Twitter, Curious, Speaker. You could just go to the reply. I think it was actually not even in my tweet. It was like Fanyo's. It was Fanyo. Fanyo was calling out the dude in the YouTube comments who I don't have the name offhand, so I can't. And then another guy replied to him and was being really just super reductive about it, which is fine. That's that person's choice. And I as I explained earlier, why I'm not going to call out that person's in particular name, it's because they, like many of the sickos out there, honestly get off, and they say themselves. It's not me making up narrative here. They're proud of being assholes. So why reward them for that? That's what they want. They want to be quote tweeted. They want their name said, and this and that, and as much shit as they can talk about me. They also sadly wish they could probably switch places with me. As crazy as that sounds, I know, right? Why would you want to do that? Again, because they're not saying so and they're acting like, I'm alpha, bro, yeah, raw. That doesn't mean like, everybody's human, folks. So I'm trying not to hate. I'm trying not to honestly burn calories on that too. I'm trying to be more positive, folks, believe it or not. But, yep. Aaron B. Counter is out of 3. Yeah, he is. He absolutely is. That's right. Okay, we're going to get onto the breakdown here, folks. I'll finish up chat cleanup later as we hit the 1 hour mark. All right. Hey, but you got to wait too, buddy. I'm going to finish up and I'll let you out. All right, buddy? Don't worry. It's good to know the old dogs are here because we'll see where we're going here for our show, huh? All right. UFC Vegas 93. UFC on ESPN 58. UFC Fight Night. Perez versus Taira. We've got Alex Perez, plus 158, comeback on Tatsuro Taira, minus 205. I don't agree with the opener or the line movement. The opener was a little more down to earth, about 30 cents lower from what I just read off. Opened in the neighborhood of minus 170 to Taira. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing flyweights featured. I love seeing Asian fighters getting featured. It's a rarity, much less being favored, like in the sports world, where we're just like constantly called unassuming. Well, actually, I mean, I'll take unassuming over Chinaman, to be honest. So at least that's another thing. Like, I get so nervous. Like, even like the well-meaning, like outrageous podcasts, you get you're just gonna get all like the typical the Japan fighters traditionally haven't done so well. They don't. They don't. And you start, and it mixes with like actual facts of results, start mixing with the bro science. Well, it's probably because of the air travel, and I think it goes sideways instead of vertical, whatever the fuck they're fucking, the fucking weird shit that have traditionally been attributed to Asians and their perspectives. So I always kind of just cringe. As much as I'm happy, I also cringe because I'm like, okay, here we go. We have to hear about all right. Let's just hope they get the nationality right, He's not Chinese, he's Korean. Walking Dead, whatever, Glenn. But yeah, you're going to get that or whatever. And as much as, obviously, partial, friend of, ally to the Asian community, however you want to frame it, okay, guilty, check the box. You guys know me, man, whether it's they're fighting for my gym, doesn't matter, these weird biases. I actually do this crazy thing where, I actually state them and show my work on my opinion regardless of what I'm siding with them or not. I know, it's crazy. That being said, I also just do something crazy and acknowledge that bias can still exist because we are human. Just like luck can still exist. It's, but everybody's a fucking genius, You can't say luck exists in the gambling space. But yes. All these things do exist, folks. But yeah, this though, I don't know. This line doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be too wide either way. Don't get me wrong. But this is one of those times where I will say, and I'm not usually the one to say this. I'm very reserved when I say this, but the wrong fighter is favored. I'm very careful to say that. Even when I do say that, could Taira win? Yes. Could he obviously win by submission? Yeah. That is the reductive analysis will tell you. Younger fighter, he fights by submission. Perez lose by submission. If you're going with Narrative Nation, which again, perhaps I shouldn't discount it as much as I think, but I do warn people about going too far into things. Like I was saying earlier, how we are too quick to throw out good or bad gamblers. Like I was talking to someone from MMA Gambling Twitter who is a friend and ally, was saying, most people don't have a process, or if they do, they lean way too much into it. And thinking that it's infallible. And I don't think that's a crazy statement. I think that's actually a pretty factual statement right there. And yeah, so you got to be careful about that. And even though all the check boxes from experience, stylistic approach, counter wrestling, Perez has shown to dictate against that against better wrestlers. Has he gotten his back take? Yeah, but the best back taker. The world champion, but of course that's Pantoja, somebody people are constantly disrespecting anytime I see him mentioned, which is just horrible. That's not Taira. Pantoja doesn't even have Taira doesn't even have the wrestling that Pantoja has. Taira's wrestling is tricky and good, but he's still learning it, folks. He's good at chaining, but most of it is against the fence. He has to chain 2 and 3, and it has to be against the fence. Those are the contexts. Which means that Perez is going to still be able to throw, not too freely, I'm sure, especially in the first round, he'll still be extra careful. But as far as worrying about the level-changing shot and when it does come, not being able to defend it, I like Perez's chances there. Again, he showed it in a good fight against Muhammad Mokaev, who no one wanted to fight, and is a better process chain wrestler, a more effective one against the fence as far as that game goes. Maybe not the back take finishing game, though he can pull out finishes when he needs to, Mokaev. And Perez arguably beat him, and I have to go back into that. Just, watch the fight with your two eyes with knowing what the criteria is. You can kind of see why it was closer than perhaps what the result might read. And Nicolau, even though Nicolau has some really excellent transitional skills, we didn't have to see that. It was obviously Perez's striking that got it done. That was the second event that I've only won all year. I think what did we win the first event? I can't even remember now. And the only other event we've won all year was the other Alex Perez. So maybe I'm leaning into that bias, but honestly, it's not that. Like, there's plenty of check boxes here, right? Taira, he lunges with a long jab, which can lead to leg kicks. And you've seen him be leg kicked off his feet by CJ Vergara. In the fight, I believe, right after that. He's eaten leg kicks in every fight, but he's actually been debased multiple times by leg kicks. Hooking shots and in boxing combination, he's still not completely comfortable there, although, he did show an improvement, I guess, but it was more just a long 1-2 against Carlos Hernandez, who, no offense, was Carlos Hernandez and was trying to grapple with Taira for most of the fight, which I get, trying to make it ugly. But you see, even these fighters were able to get up a lot of times successfully, even with back exposure style get-ups, and even though they might have eventually gotten submitted or finished, the fact is they were able to get up multiple times even when taken down. So I don't even know if it's a game over. And if Perez has just been working on back takes, which, by the way, I forget the gentleman he's working with. He's working with a real talented competition black belt who has some of the sickest scrambles and back takes. And he's been in camp with this guy the whole time. And he was already doing his three out of his last 4 camps. Prioritized against stylistically shutting down grapplers. So that's been a part of his game that he's been refreshing on top of being a wrestling coach, who's been actively coaching other fighters. There's that. And here's even this, and which is crazy, and I don't think unless I'm really hurting for things in a round robin or something, but I really wouldn't even be surprised if Perez got it done by submission, which sounds crazy, but Perez has more one-shot knockout power, and we'll see. We've seen Taira, kind of briefly stunned and definitely connected to clean on the feet, albeit not a lot because of, again, level of competition, as much as we've seen him, his style, etc. But he almost has given in guillotines a whole bunch. He gives it a lot, which is dangerous to fighters who aren't particularly good at it. And one fighter actually almost looked like he could have finished him because it happened at the end of round 2, I believe, on one of his fights. And you look at Alex Perez, how good he is with from the front headlock position both as a wrestler and as an MMA submission fighter. The quickness that he gets into with his both his contender series as well as I think his John De Thomas fight. Which one is it? The Kevin Gray and the Charles John De Thomas, or whatever that is, Carl John De Thomas. How fast he flows into those, it'd be really dangerous, especially if he rocks Taira and Taira's going to shoot. So if he doesn't one-shot knock out him, that means Taira's probably going to be rocked and then shooting. And hopefully Perez is smart enough to sprawl and keep doing damage. But I'm just saying the submission's a bit live. Even though plus 1,000 is a good number, I still, even as much as I'm going against the inflation, I'm higher on Perez than most. Even I think the submission should still be a higher number considering Taira hasn't been submitted and he's a submission specialist. I was wishfully thinking for a plus 1,400 is more what I would have wanted. So yeah, I'm not going to sit there and play it and tell you to play. I'm just saying how many boxes that Perez checks. I actually wouldn't even be surprised for him to get a finish, a submission finish. He's more proven if it goes long for a decision, which I don't think it's doing either way. And again, obviously, the KO power and the striking ability, whether it's knockouts on the feet, on the head. He also goes to the body a lot and that's going to be really good to set up the headshots, as well as the fact that Taira doesn't defend his body too well. He really doesn't defend his lower extremities well. He's more of using his speed to kind of dart in and out and more worried about his head lunging or high guarding up. So body shots and leg shots tend to land on Taira. It's just people are kind of afraid to throw him because of the takedown threat, where Perez has been leg kicking and body shotting and defending takedowns like second nature because that's literally hardwired into his game. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So between not liking a lot on this card, at least thus far, and I'm probably going to keep it that way. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. You could probably stereotype me and be like, you could guess what I'm playing on this fight, but also I have plenty to back it up. As far as the check boxes, from value, styles, the proven products, the things I look for, and honestly, my two main bets have all those things. So we're backing up to regular unit sizes. So Pepe Silvia, you're asking what the closest thing to a max bet for me is, like 2 units at this point. Because really, how often do I go over 2.5? I mean, yeah, if I go a 2-unit play and then I've got some props here, I've got them in a round robin there, maybe something like that. But honestly, I went 2 units, Alex Perez at plus 165. I mean, that's just too good of a number for me. It's not a great number, but it's a decent dog number. And again, within the context of if you genuinely think the wrong person's favored, which is not something I say often, nor do I say it lightly, well, then those are the spots that you kind of are justified to play. So again, showing my work, but as I usually do, but does that mean it's going to win? Of course not. It's MMA. It's fucking volatile. So 2 units on Alex Perez, and I also, I don't have it here, I think it's a 18, 22, and 25 or something. I sprinkled on his round props as well. Here we go. I'll get it up here for you. I did the same spread as I did with Nicolau, feeling out, and again, unless he one-shot KOs him, which was more of a possibility with Nicolau, oddly enough, right, than it is with Taira. I mean, it's still yet to be seen with Taira is the point. But, so the same principle even more so applies. 2, 3, and 4 are going to be Perez's hot rounds. So, I did, plus 1,800 round 3, plus 2,200 round 4, and plus, round 3. And then for round 2 is plus 1,400, yeah. 14, 18, and 2,200. 17 units apiece. So the top 2 pay roughly, one pays north of 3 units, including what gets taken out. The other pays just under 3 units. Whereas if he gets it done in round 2 like he did last time, it's just north of 2 units on top of the whatever 5-unit payout from the money line play or whatever it is. So that's what we got as far as exposure on Perez. Essentially 2.5 units total on him in that regard. Next fight, we've got Miles Johns as our new co-main event here. Minus 140, plus 110, Douglas Da Silva, ANDRUGS, baby. Shout out to Brad Taschik from the MMA Analysis. Great nickname, and maybe an apropos one, as we will be seeing Douglas post-USADA now for the first time, full camp post-USADA. I mean, let's be honest. If you look at I think Douglas Da Silva was living in a post-USADA world this whole time. Let's be real. But I don't know. This one, it's not really. It shouldn't be wide either way. So I don't want to be like this is the wrong fair and be like too bold or anything here. But let's see what it opened as. Wow. Wait, no. Okay, that's wrong. Yeah, it opened as a pick 'em like I thought, minus 110, which is fair, but I think the line is moving in the wrong way. And so I took a stab at 1 unit at plus 106, Douglas Da Silva, ANDRUGS. And as I thought we were maybe not going to get it, and, that's still CLV, bro. Like, again, a lot of these bets, even the Alex Perez, and we'll see, the line's technically not closed yet, so I can't say that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but now it's not really, because now you're seeing even more. Not a crazy number, but you're getting like plus 115, even plus like 122 in some spots. Now, we'll see where I end up. If I really go cold turkey and I have another half unit to spare, part of me might wants to put another half unit on Douglas Da Silva, ANDRUGS. That way, he pays off either the round robin or, God forbid, Perez loses. He pays off at least the money line portion, maybe a little more as far as taking care of my Perez exposure, right? So we just need one of the two to hit, even though, God forbid, for a guy that feels negative with my run, I do feel decent for me, for what that's worth. But again, I'm not delusional like the MMA gambling Twitter people out there who are sharp. 10 units. Fucking Jesus Christ. Oh my God. But yeah, like and also I haven't done this officially, but I just got done looking closer at some of Miles John's fights, and like, you know what? Oh man, because I watched the last couple, but I mean, just I went back to even like watch like the last like 6 even like in a row straight, like kind of a thing. Because I needed something that I didn't really have to like pick apart too much. I was doing some cleaning, and I was just looking at stuff, and I'm like, man, this guy, it's like Taira. He's giving, like, Johns is wrestling more to kind of to not be as predictable, which is good in thought. However, when he wrestles and fights, it's good for his pace because he can use it to break up timing and give himself breaks. And I think that's what he's using it for, because he's not a serious passer or submission threat. And he's not even really doing much ground and pound. Most of the times he's defending submissions, and he's almost getting caught in like front headlock stuff. And Douglas da Silva de Andrade has a guillotine. And he also has some RNC victories, which we've seen as well, right? And of course, Miles Johns in victory or defeat. He's like, in victory or defeat, fighters have his back almost every fight. Like, I think 5 out of the last 6 fights, even just referencing that sample I just went back to watch, I think like 5 out of the 6 fighters took his back at a certain point, right? And Douglas da Silva de Andrade, yeah, he's got some rear naked choke wins there. I'm pretty sure he is. I know he lost Rob Font by guillotine, but I don't have it in front of me here. But I'm pretty sure he's got a mean guillotine as well. More importantly, hooks, counter hooks, offensive hooks have been the culprit for Miles Johns. Granted, it was in Southpaw where he was rocked by Castaneda for the 2 different rounds he got rocked in. But it was like countering hook scenarios. And Douglas da Silva de Andrade's left hook. And again, going to that left side that he strikes with. Miles John, a wrestle boxer, he dips into that left side particularly hard. Douglas da Silva de Andrade quietly also goes to the body really well. Even his most recent fight against, I know he didn't look great last time out. We just talked about Cody Stamann, but Cody Stamann, a much more proven, at this point, not as high of a ceiling, obviously, than Miles John. But for what it's worth, resume-wise, a much more proven wrestle boxer. Not just fighter, but stylistic archetype. I mean, multiple boxes we're checking to here for relevant comparisons. And he was going to the body on Stamann as well, and against a guy with a suspect gas tank, probably not a bad idea. Douglas da Silva de Andrade also likes to throw knees, which, you've seen, especially with like the Castaneda finish. Once he starts getting rocked, Miles Johns wants to change levels. He's going to either change levels into a knee, change levels into a front choke. Douglas da Silva de Andrade is also kind of like an explosive Yoel-like Romero-like fighter, except he's got a reliable gas tank. Win or lose, he's going to fight for your money. He's going to swing hard. He's still going to have pop on his shots. He's not going to be victim of the Rogan, I think he's gassing. Like, he was landing some of his hardest shot, even though he didn't finish Cody Stamann, who's hard to hit and hard to finish. He finished those, or he was hitting some of his hardest shots and looking, honestly, the best in the 3rd round. And that was the oldest version of Douglas da Silva de Andrade. I know he's 37, and now he's 38. Gonna be 39. He's a 1985er, baby. 1985 in the house, baby. And I'm guessing that's the only reason, because, again, MMA Gambling Twitter's like, age, baby, but Miles John. Despite, like, Douglas da Silva de Andrade clearly being more bigger, clearly being more ripped, clearly being more athletic, there's going to be that semi-subconscious, don't mean to be racist thing that we tend to do in our language, where everyone's going to be like, oh, Miles John's probably more athletic, though. I mean, look at him. Oh, but he's younger. Athleticism, age. I don't know. I didn't look at the reach. Maybe he's got, like, an inch of reach that's just, every gambler twin is going to come, Like, that's the analysis. Like, so... Who knows? But I don't know. Outside of that high-level analysis, honestly, again, all the check boxes are pointing to the dog here, in my opinion. Unless we're really just gonna fully lean into the age or like things like reach and shit. Like, I don't see where the advantage is on paper. So that isn't that what sharp gamblers are supposed to do? Find value and we'll see. I mean, you got to be on the right side to talk shit, I guess. Not that that's my style, or I'm going to any more than I already have. But yeah. give me Douglas Da Silva de Andrade. I don't know if I'll add the half unit because then it's just so weird. It's like, it's like you're going to have two Douglas Da Silvas. One's at plus 115. The other, I don't want to give the plus 106 complex with like a plus 115. It's like the newly adopted kid or something, Maybe I just, split that half unit and I go Douglas Da Silva de Andrade round 2 and round 3. And then I either put submission or inside the distance for the round robin rather than having to choose Parker for a round. I just have nice little quarter units exposures. We do that. So those are my main spots on the card, folks. That's it. I'm just kidding. We're going to go through the rest of the card. I'm kidding. I'm going to do a quick check of the chat because I'm going to blow through the rest of these really fast. And, see what you guys said. Super chat, Tony. You were too kind, Tony. Tony hit me with the super chat 20 from Big Dog Donnie Clifton. Oh, don't inflate Donnie. Donnie doesn't need that ego inflation, but he's gonna tell you ain't wrong, son. You ain't wrong, and we're slinging that same song. Tony C, Anthony C in the house. Always appreciate you. Rio says in Truesdale, Ikram was going to fight Mackenzie Dern's husband in the co-main of the Apex card. Yeah, that was a joke. I was going with the over for that one because he looked kind of scrappy enough to maybe survive, and I didn't want to have to choose Parker, Yes, the MMA line mover is the same as the Jewish better guy. Okay, it's the same person, so I'm not just spraying strays for no reason, at least. Whatever, they can get mad. Again, that's the beauty of it, folks. They can get mad and dog all the shit. All they're going to do is just feed my show, and I don't care less. Give a shit less. More important shit to do. Synchro Wing, I find it very weird that UFC thinks it makes Hunter Campbell and Dana look better by showing behind the scenes. It actually makes them look worse. Yeah, that is the thing. And people, even people I respect, were like saying that it made them look better. And I'm like, did it? I don't know. A little bit that I can't stick that. I didn't go back to watch the whole thing. Again, I've got better things to do than glaze Hunter Campbell. But I genuinely want to check it out for the production and stuff because I do nerd out about that shit. But yeah, I don't know. James Kendrick, Taira has shown to use athletic attribute moves like wrestling. Perez is good at defending when the fight slows down against the fence. Good read. Yes, but I don't think I picked up on this thought. Taira has a lot of gaps. Like you could see him thinking about, okay, from here I go to here. From here I go to here. And those gaps a more experienced fighter, much less a better wrestler, will take advantage of. Is my opinion there. So because we have to forget that Taira, not only is he only 24, he doesn't even have a jiu-jitsu rank, folks. He didn't have all these jiu-jitsu. Oh, he wasn't even a crazy accoladed amateur. He has a Shuto title, which is not nothing. And there's a lot of great fighters that have gotten Shuto titles in Japan, have come over to the UFC or fought in major promotions in MMA. But the guy started fighting MMA when he was 15 years old. He's 24 years old. He is only 9 years into just training. That's not his fight career. 9 years into just training. That's crazy. That's really raw. That's really raw. So that was something that really stood out to me. And again, it doesn't mean Taira's not going to win. Doesn't mean Perez is going to win. But that's what made the Perez side stand out to me. Rio says in Truesdale, I tried to explain this in another podcast that I'm a part of, but he doesn't believe that low kicks are a good counter to the jab. How do I convince him otherwise? I guess you'd have to do selective sample size, but I'm sure someone could convince you of confirmation bias because they both can work, right? I mean, it wasn't low kicks in particular, but you've got early examples like Nate Diaz using straight shots to kind of disrupt kicking rhythms against Cowboy Cerrone back in the day. But you have much more, now I'm trying to think off the top of my head. When were leg kicks, I don't know why Bellator's coming to my head, Douglas Lima versus Gegard Mousasi, where he was fucking up. And there was kind of a bad decision, if I remember correctly, for Mousasi because he was getting his leg fucked up off the jab. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but you'd want to show an example like that. Rain Lamina, Douglas Da Silva, ANDRUGS. I like that. Going to use that on Drake Riggs' show to make him laugh. Just give credit to my guy Brad Tazchek, MMA Analysis. Shout out to Drake Riggs as well. Jin Karasu, I heard this on Jack Slack's Patreon. Do you think that Miles Johns is a dirty fighter next to Cowboy Oliveira? I mean, I don't know. I've seen some stuff, but not more than I've seen from any other fighters. I just haven't. I haven't been a big believer in Johns. Not to sound like a dick, I don't believe in him. I wish him nothing but the best. Seems like a nice family guy. Seems like a great guy. I like Saif Sayu, like his team. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any opinions on the dirty fighter thing. Apologies. Ghost Phantom, wrestle boxers dipping into the power side. Yeah, you know what's up. He says, that should be the Andrade show to draw out the dip to the power side. Yeah, I mean, he definitely can draw that out and punctuate on it. James Kendrick, why are you super chatting me more, James? You're too kind. Just to send positive vibes. Thank you, sir. Well, yeah, I'm gonna remember that. You're gonna take partial credit for when we finally get on the board with a winning win this week, James. But win or not, I appreciate it. Win or not, I'm really trying not to be as tied to the results. So let's push forward. The order shifted, so I'm just going to read straight through down. We got Lucas Almeida plus 154, minus 200 on Fugitt-Quinlan. Yeah, I got to go back and see more of this is a fight I haven't taped yet. I'm probably not going to be too honest to play it because we got to see more of Quamba, and he's favorite. So unless I'm really seeing something on Almeida, some value, like I'll take that. But it's tough. Almeida's more experienced, it seems, right? I don't know. I got to look into it more. I'm not going to give you guys a strong opinion here on that one. Apologies. I will have that one on for Junkie on fight day, though, so pay attention there. That'll be under quick picks because they're a main card fight. So is Asu Almabaev minus 5 or 670 plus 430 the comeback on Jose Johnson. Yeah, between the price and just not the squash match, I'm not excited to, but I will have to look into this fight to write it up. So check Junkie there. But as far as prioritizing what to play and have takes about on the show, squash matches obviously don't rate very high for me. You want me to tell you the minus 670 is going to win? Oh, I'm so sharp. Miles Johns, Douglas Da Silva, ANDRUGS, we already went over. This one's going to be interesting. This is the one that was next on the docket that I wanted to get a take for you guys. And I have to study it for my Southpaw report, being that Fugitt-Quinlan minus 125. Comeback on Adam Fugitt is plus 110 or minus 102. So this was another one, kind of like the co-main, where it opened as a pick'em, and money's coming in on Quinlan, which I get. He's the more athletic and explosive guy, right? But also been, underwhelming, volatile with both results from in-fight to out-of-fight test samples, right? Those things alike. Unfortunately, now I got to go do a southpaw sample on him, though, because I believe he fought Danny Barlow, who's a southpaw. That was his last fight where he lost in the third round. TKO. I got to refresh myself on that. Fugitt, better than given credit for, but janky and disjointed. So, I don't know. We'll see if it's worth taking a shot or even picking a slight dog. You guys are going to have to see where I end up on that one, but I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm not even going to give you a lean, since I'll have to make a pick anyways. I suspected they would put this fight on the main card when the things got shuffled, although it's another card where they're full of bantamweights on the prelims because matchmakers don't know how to format, and that's why I'm going to be stoked to do alternative carved formats. Hopefully you guys are stoked for those articles to come. But yeah, Garrett Armfield minus 194, Brady-Hiestand plus 150. Definitely leaning toward Armfield here, but I got to refresh myself on Brady. It's been a while. Sounds like he's had so many. I just listened to an interview of him. Sounds like he's had so many injuries and like random hurdles to get back in here. It's like, oof, you don't know what you're gonna get. So I'd be careful playing that fight. Unless maybe you're just doing like a funsy parlay or whatever with Armfield. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I gotta get to it. This was another one I wanted to get to. A lot of people I respect, like the Josh Van side, plus 168. Fugitt-Quinlan minus 220. Josh Van's going to be the more criteria-friendly fighter, but how good are his get-ups and separations? That is going to be the ultimate question. Can you avoid the stickiness of Tajir? That's going to be something I'm going to have to look into. And the fact that Ulanbekov lists himself as a southpaw, I got to go see if Van against southpaws. Now, I believe he's 0-0 after just glancing through his record. However, ZZ Bottom, Zhalgas Zhumagulov, does sometimes fight from southpaw. So, and that's a 3-round fight. So now my ass has to go back and scrape through that just to see if there's any morsels of information that we can use, folks. So no pick or no lead there out of respect for both fighters. But I get why Ulanbekov is favored, but regardless of the side I pick, it feels like a dog or pass to me. And maybe that's because me and others, PYN faithfuls, we've been burned by the Ulanbekov side and backing him in the past, right? Maybe there's some of that. Who knows, right? We have to be honest with ourselves when it comes to those biases, which are fair but natural. Jimmy Flick plus 400, Nate Manass, baby, Manass minus 620. A lot of big faith in Manass, both with the line and as well as from gamblers. Gamblers I respect as well, by the way. But, so here's the way I want to do this fight. I don't want to lay crazy units on this fight. Again, I'm not a big exposure guy, especially for MMA chalk. I know I'm a losing gambler by the units, but if you just want to judge me off that, okay. And by the way, that's only like, this last sample size only like represents like 25% of my MMA gambling career, which is hilarious, but it's the easiest to access, so that's what people are going to go off of, and I could care less at this point. But for what my opinion's worth, I like playing the hot rounds for fights like this when it's a big, steep number to get a discount. And one of my favorite dynamics, folks, and Jimmy Flick is usually the guy I use for the example of the dynamic, is fading one-rounder bust fighters and playing their other fighter to survive and pick up the pieces in rounds 2 and 3. Now, Nate Manass has multiple round 3 victories if you include his, he's got like 2 or 3, I think, if you include his amateur record. But if we just go by his pro record, he actually it's almost a half and half split between round 1 and round 2. He has one more round 1 victory than he has round 2 victories. I think he has 4 round 2 victories and 5 round 1 victories. But the point is, he is not shy about having to get it done in round 2 because people are trying to grapple him to close that length advantage, and because people are trying to grapple him even though he's not a better grappler than Jimmy Flick by any means. He has some sneaky front choke acumen, hence some sneaky submissions with that long frame Nate, that is, henceforth. So grappling with Flick's a bad idea. He is the superior submission grappler. This will be in the small cage, folks. However, again, I've not been a big believer in Flick. I always fade the rounds 2 and 3. These were pretty nerfed. It's going to be my prop squad, but I might just keep it just around 2, folks, because it feels so nerfed. Even though if you do half a unit on both, I think you can guarantee yourself minimum of 1.5 unit profit off of a minus 620 favorite. So if you look at it that way, for 1 unit, you can kind of guarantee profit so long as both fighters get out of the first round, pretty much, right? Because it's probably not going to decision, which means it's going to get finished in 2 or 3. And historically, that fighter finishing in 2 or 3 ain't Jimmy Flick. So again, as long as it gets out of round 1, you can kind of guarantee yourself a unit and a half if you bet from plus 300 to 400, from plus 900 to plus 1,000 for your round 2 to round 3 spreads, a half unit in each. However, what I did is I got a plus 400 at a half unit, which I think is going to give us like 2 units, because it's 250, right? So it'll give us just north of 2 units, and I only put a Scottie Pippen, a .33, on a plus 900 round 3. It was plus 1,000 in another house, but again, I'm giving it to you guys how I got it. I'm not shopping and fucking trying to pad my numbers here. As usual. More transparent than most. As usual. So I'm going to do 0.33 units there. And I think that pays off over 3 units or something offhand. So it's either 2.5 or over 3 units off of less than a unit exposure for a minus north of 6-1 favorite. Not bad. Not bad way to play steep favorites without having to play the exposure game. I don't know, but I'm a negative unit gambler for 2024 and 2023. So I don't know if you want to listen to me. What the fuck do I know? Carly-Judice plus 124, Gabriel Fernandes minus 160. Unfortunate. I just want to ignore the prelims and like all the southpaws on the prelims. I'm like, fuck. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure neither of these two have faced a southpaw, but I gotta go look just in case. But it's a southpaw versus southpaw matchup, which may incorporate for some WMMA violence than normally forecasted. This fight is, this fight scheduled to go the distance. So if you want to be cheeky, maybe there's something there. Kind of like when 2 tall fighters face, or two tall southpaws face. Not that these fighters are tall, but they are southpaws. Who knows? I'm not really going to look too further into it than I need to. Another southpaw, Weston Wilson, is an underdog, plus 260 against Jekka Saragih, minus 360. I got to double check to see if Jekka has faced any southpaws in, I believe, his 2 UFC appearances. Otherwise, I would not care to look or touch that fight, both at the level and line, though I'm sure MMA Gambling Twitter has some angle on these fights, and they're going to, cash and be geniuses on it or something. I don't know. Listen to them, not me. Josephine Knutsson, minus 210. Julia Polastri, plus 162. Yeah, I don't got much to say about this one. I don't know. I'll see. Maybe the dog is worth taking in Top Master. We'll see. Don't take my pick too seriously on that fight. The Milkweasel, baby. Milkweasel Costa. Minus 200. Shailen Nuremberger. Plus 154. Yeah, I don't know. I got to look closer into this fight, to be honest. Out of respect. But yeah, I'm not really too interested in that one either. All right. Sorry for the longer show. This will be the last one. Maybe more of these. Although we got through that breakdown kind of fast. Like, let's do a chat cleanup. Shall we? All right. What's up with the chat? Thank you guys for the super chats. I did not deserve them. I mean, I'm like sitting here announcing that I'm finally going to put like, put a pay window up for select content, and I'm all nervous about that, and you guys are sitting here giving me money. That's the thing. I got this like guilt complex. I need to realize I'm like, damn, people actually want to support the show, A, and B, you're not scamming picks and selling picks and people and trying to scam people, being an asshole, B, and C, even if you were, which you are not, I'm selling analysis here. I'm not even selling analysis. I'm offering analysis in return for your support. I'm not promising fucking anything. I'm just offering things for the work that I already do. But even at that level, much less factoring the work that I've consistently been doing for nearly a decade in this space, how many people would have quit and folded up, restarted their bet and MMA tips after like the year or two I've had, much less lasted a near decade? Yeah, I put more work. I've consistently put more work into my content, and at times outperforming them, though obviously not recently. But at times even outperforming them for whatever that's worth. For free. Multiple mediums. More transparency. More information. More hard work. Bootstrap, bro. All those things. For free. So yeah. If anybody has a problem, which you guys don't obviously. But I'm so fucked up in the head. I'm constantly like defending myself over arguments that don't exist. Yeah. You got to contend with those three facts. So... and again, it's gonna be like no more than $5 a month if I do for the Substack. So stay tuned at Dan Tomame for that. Let's clean up the chat. Thank you again for the super chat, James Kendrick. I've been too negative today and yesterday. I need to do my part to send you some positive. Oh, you're way too kind, James. We're all trying to do that, but and even though I'm reluctant to say the words karma with my results, I do hope you guys have good karma for that support. But that's also another reason why I want to do good, because those you guys that do support me, man, like I feel like I'm letting you guys down. So I realize that those results aren't everything, and the only way I can actually let you guys down is if I stop doing this and or continue to do this and not adjust and be negative and be shitty. Not that I was being those things, but I mean, victim of circumstance, whatever you want. No excuses. We should always be trying to be better, which was my point. I was trying to share with gambling Twitter people who just, want to be jerks and reductive. That's fine. But hey, man, I'm going to keep that same energy for me. I'm not worried about what other people are doing as much, obviously. And keep that going, man. And trying to reward you guys instead and give my energy to you guys and those who support me. That is the game plan. Ghost Phantom, you know who has surprisingly crafty bottom game? Van-Ulanbekov. Yeah, he does, actually. Against... Mike Grundy, he should have some high risk and slick gaps. I got to rewatch that one, but yeah, that's coming to my mind now. Ghost, Mike Grundy, I remember that. I got to watch that one again. Ghost Phantom, and of course Josh Van is a PYN favorite because he goes to the body. Yeah, you know what's up, Ghost. Synchro Wing, Jekka is the fighter who kneed Nathaniel Wood in the nads in Saudi Arabia and got away with it like a cheat nap. Oh yeah, that was he was the one that went the foulaholic. Oh, okay, I got to rewatch that. Jin Karasu selling picks in a volatile sport. Why are these people conning other people out of money? It's the way of things, man. It is the way of things. Shout out to my guy Luca Fury, and I've told Luca this many times, and I've said this on this podcast, and he agrees. Everyone's trying to rip off Luca Fury, but the way things go, like with the way human nature to the way the space goes, is like. Everyone's just like gotta be like, oh, I gotta, they have to like up the ante, right? And like, I gotta talk more crap. Like I can't talk crap. I gotta be racist too in my now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and say what you will about Luca, say what you will about people that charge picks. Like, and we all have takes that you may or may not agree with. That's fine. I'm sure I have takes or whatever out there, but man, like, cause I've been around from the OG days, from like when he was like one of the only people doing the damn thing, and like, yeah, of course, you know, he self-promote, and that involves some level of victory lapping, but like, he would at least make it entertaining. Like, shout out to my guy Clint, Die Hard MMA podcast, right? Again, if anybody's going to victory lap, it's people who are putting themselves out there like myself, and doing it for free, offering free picks and plays like Clint does. Again, it might not be your speed, that's totally fine, but I always have respect for these people for that. You know, and you got to kind of self-promote, and that's why even when I'm like doing shitty, and maybe I'm not doing the best job out of it, but like in my defense, I'm still trying to make it like humorous, like with like gifs and stuff, and like Luca would do that and whatnot, and you know, and he would like support it stuff, like it'd be backed, you know, whether like he'd have shout out to like my guy Liam. It's one of the few guys I'll shout out who sells picks and they actually work together, right? But like Liam's like Luca in the sense too, where he'll actually like do the write-ups, he'll show where his work's coming from, and all those things, right? And Liam's like is a good guy. He does the rare thing. He actually like retweets other people and like is like positive to other people, which is like unheard of in this space. So I always have respect for guys like Liam like that. So there are ways where we all kind of get influence in this space, and I'm not above it, hence throwing myself in the examples. But you see people do the negative way, where they go, you know, the negative aspect, where it's just like, they lean too far into the shit side of it, and we see that kind of makes a whole nother monster. So, yeah, man, and that's another thing too, is like, not that I not care about, like, you know, these people that are going to hate on me are going to hate on me, but like their followers, I could care less too. Like, if people are dumb enough to spend their money that way, that's fine. You know, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know, like whether it's gambling picks or like medical promises. This will cure your this. Like, I don't know. I just feel like these things shouldn't exist in the world, but the reason why they do on all levels, this isn't some MMA gambling Twitter problem, folks. Like, this is something that happens in the world. It's because there are people kind of dumb enough to do so. And I say that at the risk of, on the same show, where I'm opening up a pay window for people to support. But again, that's just for people to support me. I'm not promising anything. Those people who, by the way, if you listen to this show, you're smarter than the average person, by the way. And you know, and by the way, these people who follow these crowds are like, not that everybody who follows them, I'm not trying to like disregard, because the funny thing is, you look at these people's comments where they're like, they don't acknowledge the luck or anything, that like they got to win the bet. Like, I always love the people in the comments who are like, are smart and go, hey man, don't you think we kind of got away with one? And I'm just like, yes, thank you. I just want to like reach out to those people. You, sir, are smarter with that than 99% of the space alone. You are a better person than 99% of this space alone. You are more accountable and responsible than 99% of this space alone, just for the simple fact, if you can actually acknowledge when you got lucky. So I'm definitely not trying to, you know, hate on everybody on every level here or anything like that, but these communities exist for a reason, and it's you know, the way I'm coming to terms with it, I'm going to be reductive to them. I think it's stupid people. So if you want more educated takes, analysis for entertainment, because you're a nerd like myself, or you like to gamble, that's what I've been advertising on this podcast. We've been doing for what we're going on 8 years now. I know I've been doing this unofficially for a decade, officially as an analyst for a decade, but the podcast didn't start at the official outlet times. The podcast I had reserved from like 2015, but I didn't do it to the end of like 2016 or something was my first show officially, right? So that's why I say we're going on 8 years. Yeah, man, I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm fucking grateful to be doing this shit, man. And, you know, you guys want to keep helping me. I finally set up a way to do so. I will never promise you guys anything, but I will always be grateful, like I always have been. And, again, I'll be making efforts. Just a quick recap for programming notes, even though it's timestamped for the beginning. I'll be making efforts so you guys have something in return for your support. Not promises, not picks and plays, though you will get early access to those. You will get the Southpaw Report. You will get post-fight shows on the regular, as well as live ones for fight nights from me and Fanyo. When I finally enact the YouTube memberships, which, by the way, subscribe, share. If you can't pay for anything, that's fine. I will never judge anybody. I will still, if you're a regular OG in this chat, I will still get to you, whether you super chat, whether you're supporting on the Substack or not. That being said, when we do set up tiers for like YouTube membership for like extra content for those people who want to support that way, who are just YouTubers and they don't sign a Substack, right? That's why that's another reason why I want to do YouTube membership. I'm not going to double charge you guys in that sense. So like if you're supporting, as long as you're supporting the Substack, whatever YouTube membership fees, I will make sure that you guys get waived if I have to waive it and pay it personally. I don't care, because I'm not going to double charge anybody who wants to support me. That's just way too much that I could ask for as is. I got to give you guys something for that. And of course, for the Substack subscribers that are non-paid subscribers, we'll get the teaser versions of all said pieces of content, as well as the weekly exclusive alternative card formats that I'll be releasing on the Substack. Plus the first priorities for questions, direct contact to me, all that shit that I'll be checking before my own personal DMs. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to have it set up by the Saudi Arabia show. Maybe I'll have Fenyo on for the breakdown show just for the shits of it, but we'll be doing a recap next Sunday. And hopefully before the card next week, the Substack up officially announced for you guys to support. All right, I'll tag you for the X to G. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate that, Ghost Phantom. All right, we're going to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to recap since there's no more things in the chat, unless I miss something. Speak now or forever hold your peace. But yeah, all right, recap. 145, 55, let's just say that. All right, recap. UFC Vegas 93 taking Perez over Taira. Was taking Aliskerov over Chikoli. That fight's off. New co-main event taking Douglas Da Silva ANDRUGS over Miles Johns. Taking. We'll see who I take for Quamba Almeida. Check quick picks prognostications on MMA Junkie. Check me at Dan Tom MMA on Fight Day. I'll probably take Almabaev over Johnson. Check me on Quick Picks Junkie, as well as at Dan Tom MMA on Fight Day to see who I take between Quinlan and Fugitt. Leaning toward Armfield over Hiestand. Check me on Fight Day at Dan Tom MMA for Van-Ulanbekov. Taking MANASS, baby, over Flick. Probably leaning Fernandes over Judice. Not even sure I'll get cheeky with that one in the Tout Master. I'll probably take Jekka over Wilson, but nothing there that you need to lean into. Take me too seriously. We'll see. Maybe I'll take Polastri over Knutsson, both in Tout Master and as a pick, but either way, don't take that too seriously. And I got nothing. I'm leaning toward Costa over NerdandBecky. I remember from them, but I have not looked into that one yet, so check me on Fight Day at Dan Tom MMA. Plays-wise, I got Perez plus 165, 2 units. As of right now, just a unit on Douglas Da Silva ANDRUGS at plus 106 for a unit. May add a half unit there, but honestly, I think I might just take that half unit either way. Take it two ways, split it, shove it straight up. Yeah, just kidding. And sprinkle on round 2 and round 3, whatever those numbers are. I haven't played it yet. We'll see what I can get. Keep a lookout for that. Speaking of round 2, round 3 sprinkles, man, ass, baby, ass to ass. What movie is that from, folks? MANASS round 2 plus 400, half a unit. Round 3 plus 900, 0.33 units. Scottie Pippen. We did have Aliskerov Chikoli over 1.5 plus 165 at 0.6 units just to get a unit return back, but that will be coming back to us in full-fledged. Maybe we do a fun parlay for shits, and if it is, it's not from me, baby. It's from Donnie Clifton Special. But I'm going to be looking at the Van fight, Ulanbekov, to see if there's any plays or dogs worthy there. Also going to have a particular eye on Fugitt and Quinlan for any particular dogs or plays there. For the round robin, man, there's still a lot to look through, so we'll see. Maybe we end up, if there's nothing I like, I end up kind of doubling down. We get, MANASS in round 2 or 3. I throw that in the round robin. Again, depending on what Douglas Da Silva ANDRUGS inside the distance line, if it's not a nice enough plus number, we look at maybe a plus submission there for the round robin, right? I don't want to. I already got enough exposure on Perez. I'd rather not avoid it, although I'd throw him by sub just for shits and giggles because it's quietly live, at a big number. Just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean it can't happen. It's just because we don't know much. Undefeated, never been submitted sounds good, but also we haven't seen it. There could be a whole lot of, I don't want to throw the F word that everybody throws around. Definitely not toward Taira of all people, but crazier things we've seen. So yeah, we'll see. Check me on Fight Day, but it's gonna be, I'm thinking it's gonna aim small. And I don't know about miss small, because again, you aim small, you can miss big in this game, right? But yeah, I'm going to aim small and let go of the results, baby, and trust the work, God forbid, and not worry about the bullshit. Jeff A., protect your neck. That's right, Jeff. Thank you. Nice to see a new person in there. Jimmy Kudo, I watched the director's cut of that movie that you recommended for Michael Caine. Where's the pedophile? Soda has roof. Soda has roof. I think that if that scene, if there really was a love scene between Haley Joel Osment and Michael Caine, A, put gasoline in my eyes before it light me on fire before I watch it, and B, it probably did not make the DVD. I am guessing. Although I want to go back and watch, like, I'm being reminded how awesome 90s commentaries were, because it was like early versions of the Protect Your Neck podcast or any other MMA podcast where you think, like, it's never going to see the light of day, so people are saying some wild shit. I don't know if they get canceled for, but, like, wild shit nonetheless. And, yeah, go back and watch some Ben Affleck movies, folks, like Mallrats or, like, fucking, what was that astronaut movie he was in with Bruce Willis? Funny shit there. Anyways, I really want to do a movie podcast, but this is an MMA podcast, so let's get the fuck out of here. Thank you guys again. This will be the last of these long shows. We'll have a different format. They'll be shorter and more concise. If you're a normal listener that has no interest in the Substack or supporting me, totally cool. You'll still be getting free content. The only thing I will never ask money for people, even though I'm setting up ways for people to support me. I'm not even asking you to feel bad either, by the way, but I'm just saying, if you feel bad, you can't support, which you shouldn't, because there are more important things for your money, and things are tight for everybody right now, so I feel even awful, even fucking going down this road, but I kind of have to myself, folks. I'm sorry. If I want to survive, feed myself, and still work here, gotta supplement some income here. But I get if you can't. The only thing I will ask is just share my content, share the shows. Anything you can, hit the like button, do those things. If you could do that, you are immediately cooler and a big contributor in my book to this podcast already. You don't even have to give a single penny. Thank you guys so much. I wish you guys nothing but the best. Again, I'm going to try my best. Let's all try our best to keep it a little more positive. Ignore the trolls. Let them talk their shit. Know that, people can say whatever they want, as long as we're fucking trying to be decent human beings. We're working hard. We're doing all graft. And sound like fucking like Tom Skinner over here or some shit. Bosh. But like, as long as we're putting the work in and try not to be fucking complete assholes, then what else can you ask for in life, man? You guys are my people if you're doing that. So I wish you the best. And always protect your neck.